Sometimes we don't really appreciate what we have until we're on the verge of losing it. And that's the powerful, kind of heartbreaking idea at the core of Alphonse Daudet's short story, The Last Lesson. We're going to break it down today. It's this incredible look at patriotism, identity, and what happens when your whole world changes overnight. So the whole story unfolds through the eyes of this young kid, Franz. And for him, it's just another boring school day. He's way more interested in what's happening outside. But here's the thing. This day is anything but ordinary. It's about to change his life and his entire town forever. So what's going on? All right, so the story kicks off with a feeling I think we can all relate to, right? That feeling of dread when you're late for school. But the thing is, Franz's regular kid anxieties, they're about to get completely dwarfed by something way, way bigger. And this is what makes Franz so real. I mean, think about it. He's running late. He's totally dreading a scolding from his teacher. He hasn't studied for a test on participles, of all things. And on top of all that, the weather is perfect, and he's seriously tempted to just blow the whole day off. These are just those classic everyday worries of a kid, right? But as he's rushing to school, he starts noticing things are a little off. There's a crowd gathered at the town bulletin board, which for the past 2 years has only ever posted bad news about the war. And then he sees Prussian soldiers drilling out in the fields. They're just these small little clues, but they add up to this feeling that something is very, very wrong. And the difference really hits home when he gets to the school. Usually the place is a racket, right? You can hear the bustle from down the street, desks opening and closing, kids shouting their lessons together. In fact, Franz was counting on all that noise to sneak in unnoticed. But today, it's just still. It's as quiet as a Sunday morning. And that is seriously weird. The weirdness doesn't stop there. Once he's inside the classroom, two things really stand out. First, his teacher, M. Hamel, is all dressed up in his fancy Sunday clothes, the ones he only wears for special occasions. And second, the back of the classroom, which is usually empty, is filled with the old folks from the village. And they're all just sitting there, silently. It's unsettling. And then, it all clicks into place. The reason for the quiet, the fancy clothes, the sad faces of the village elders, it all gets explained. And this is the moment right here that changes absolutely everything for Franz and everyone in that room. Okay, so for any of this to make sense, we need a little bit of historical context. It's super important. The story takes place around 1870-1871, right after the Franco-Prussian War. France lost, and as a result, the French districts of Alsace and Lorraine were handed over to Prussia. And you can see on the map exactly where we're talking about. Alsace and Lorraine, right there on the border. But you have to understand, this wasn't just about redrawing a line on a map. For the people who actually lived there, this was like the ground being ripped out from under them. It shook the very foundations of their identity, their culture, their whole world. So once everyone is settled, Miss Hamel stands up and finally makes the announcement that puts all the pieces together. In this really calm but incredibly heavy voice, he tells them the news. The order has come down from Berlin. Effective immediately, only German is allowed to be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. A new teacher is coming tomorrow. This is their last French lesson. Well, for young Franz, this news isn't just information. It hits him like a punch to the gut. In one single moment, his entire world, his whole perspective, just completely flips upside down. He literally says, "What a thunderclap these words were to me." And that's such a perfect description, right? It's not just news, it's a sudden, violent shock. And all at once, everything makes sense. The crowd, the quiet, all of it. It's like his life just got split right down the middle. There was the before, and now there's the after. And this change in him is just, wow. Think about it. His textbooks, an hour ago, they were just a nuisance, heavy things to carry. Now they feel like old friends he's about to lose. And his teacher, Mr. Hamel, he wasn't some cranky guy with a ruler anymore. Suddenly, Franz forgets all about that. And all those lessons he skipped to go play, they come crashing back as this huge wave of regret. It just goes to show, doesn't it? You really don't know what you've got till it's gone. And then Franz looks around and realizes it's not just him. Those village elders at the back of the room, he gets it now. They're there to say thank you to M. Hamel for his 40 years of service, sure, but it's more than that. They're there to show respect for a country, a whole way of life that was just taken from them. So, in this very last lesson, M. Hamel isn't just going over grammar rules. No, He's teaching them something much, much bigger. He's teaching them about what their language really means. He starts talking about the French language with this fire, this passion that his students had never seen before. He calls it the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest, the most logical. He's trying to make them understand that this isn't just a bunch of words you use to talk to each other. It's a treasure, and it's something they have to protect. And this is really the core idea of the whole story. M. Hamel gives them this incredible line. He says that when a people are enslaved, as long as they hold on to their language, it's like they have the key to their own prison. Wow. In other words, your language is your identity. It's your history. And holding on to it is an act of resistance. It's how you keep your culture from being totally erased. Okay, so as the lesson starts to wind down, you can just feel the tension in the room. It's heavy with all the things that aren't being said. The whole story is building up to this final, silent, and incredibly powerful moment. And then you hear it. The church clock strikes 12, and at the very same time, you hear the trumpets of the Prussian soldiers outside. It's this chilling sound that basically says, time's up. It's the sound of the new reality taking over. Mr. Hamel gets to his feet. He looks so pale, and Franz thinks he's never seemed so tall. He opens his mouth to say something, to give one final farewell, but he can't. The emotion is just too much. He's completely choked up. So, since he can't speak, he turns to the blackboard. He grabs a piece of chalk, and with every bit of strength he has left, he writes on the board as big as he possibly can, "Vive la France! Long live France!" It's his last possible act of defiance. It's everything he wants to say, right there, in 2 words. And that's it. He doesn't say anything else. He just leans his head against the wall, and with a wave of his hand, he dismisses them. You may go. The last lesson is over. And the story leaves us with this one last thought from Franz. He hears pigeons on the roof, and he thinks to himself, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? It sounds like a simple, childish question, but it's actually so deep, isn't it? It really makes you wonder, what does it truly mean to force a language, a culture, on a people, and can you ever really succeed?